for tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, hi everyone out there in on Facebook land. Thank you for joining. Um, Tonight we're going to be talking about grocery shopping tips, and so really practical information that you can use right away, and really important information too. And then we'll also dive into reading nutrition labels, what you want to pay attention to, what you want to avoid, and then also how to shop on a budget. And I practice all these things, so um, they are things that I use pretty often that work for me. So hopefully you'll find them useful to you as well. If you are here, I really appreciate any comments or questions that you have, even if it's just saying hello. And sometimes I just go into like go mode when I start these things. I'll start talking away, and so I'll do my best to pay attention to the comments, answer any questions that you have. In the case I miss them, I'll be sure to follow up later on. So we can go ahead and get into it now. And so let's talk about what we want to pay attention to, or how we want to plan for the grocery store. So my first tip is to always go with a plan. And this goes hand in hand if you are wanting to meal prep as well and kind of work that into your lifestyle and habit. You really need to just set a little bit of time aside, not even very long, could be 5 minutes, just to plan for the week and how your grocery list is going to come out of that. And so my recommendation is you're going to brainstorm 2 to 3 different ideas for breakfast, another 2 to 3 for lunch, dinner, and then your snacks as well. And so if we break that down into what that means, so for breakfast, let's say for the week, you're thinking to have maybe some eggs, and you're going to scramble that with veggies. Maybe you like zucchini or mushrooms or whatever it is. Another quick and easy breakfast option could be like a chia pudding that you soak the night before, and you could do a bunch at a time. That way you're not cooking every day. Or you do some avocado toast on grain-free bread. Bonus points if you add sauerkraut on there and olive oil. So that's breakfast. You would do the same thing for lunch and dinner. I recommend, maybe meal prepping one big thing. Say you're making like a veggie pasta, or like turkey tacos or something like that. You make a big batch of it, and then also choose some things that are like quick and easy to make. So maybe some tuna salad or some turkey lettuce wraps, and then snacks that can be raw nuts and seeds, that can be vegetables, can be protein based like boiled eggs, sliced deli meat. Dill pickles are a great snack as well. So think about, what you want to have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and then write those down. And then you want to take a look at the ingredients that you'll need for those meals and snacks. You want to compare that to what's already in your fridge at home, and then you want to fill in the blanks, and whatever you don't have, you'll want to put on your list. So you can write your list down with pen and paper if that works best for you, or you can also type it up on your phone. That way you'll always have it. In addition to what you plan for lunch and dinners, you'll also want to take a look at your pantry and see what you're running low on. So maybe those like non-perishable items, like any like canned goods or olive oil, nut butters, spices, like coconut aminos, tahini, things like that. And then what you have to do is you have to bring the list with you to the grocery store, and you have to try your best to follow that list. I'll go into a little bit about some flexibility there, but for the most part, you're going to try to follow your list. And studies have shown that grocery lists may help you make healthier choices while shopping. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is don't go grocery shopping hungry. Always try to have a nice satiating snack before you go. So maybe that's like celery and almond butter. Maybe it's like a turkey lettuce wrap or something like that. But what happens when you go hungry is that you're going to be more inclined to reach for those foods that are like ready to eat, and probably like the carbier foods like crackers and cookies and chips and things like that. And then not only will you reach for them, but then you're going to be more likely to overeat them as well, because now you're like at a point where you're really, really hungry. So the unfortunate thing about that is those foods tend to be higher in refined carbs and also refined oils and sugar as well. So we're all trying to avoid all those things. Okay, so now you are at the grocery store. You had a snack before you came. And so what you want to do to navigate the grocery store is you want to start with shopping on the perimeter, or the outside of the store. So just a reminder, we want to focus on getting our nutrition from whole foods, and you're going to find the freshest whole foods on the outside of the store. So that's going to be your like fresh produce, your fruits, your proteins like your seafood, and your meat, your deli meat as well. Um, what The only exception to that is the bakery. You probably just want to skim over that to get to the next section. So go with shopping on the outside of the store first, and then you're going to move to those inner aisles where you can pick up things like nuts and seeds, any canned goods you need, olive oil, condiments, things like that. But from there, because you'll have collected most of your items, what you want to think is your cart, whatever's in your cart, you want to be reflective of what is going on your plate. So let's first say, for example, you're going for like a quarter of your plate is protein, and then half or more is vegetables, and then you have a little bit of room for some healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, nut seeds, whatnot. Your cart should have those same proportions. So if it's like overloaded on the meat with just like a few veggies in there, maybe you need to go back and you need to swap out some of the meat for more veggies, or just load up on more veggies. Okay, and let's see if I got everything on here. When you go, other little tip is when you are shopping for veggies, go for like a variety of color. Get a lot of different phytonutrients and vitamins in that way. Okay, let's move into reading the food labels. So obviously whole foods, like if you had a head of broccoli or a potato or something like that, that's not going to have a label on it. So we are really talking about those like packaged foods in the center aisles. So unfortunately, labels can be really, really misleading, and that's because food is also a business, and there are companies who want to make you think that their foods are healthier than they are. So they use really confusing or misleading labels like, heart healthy, all natural, whole grain, fat free, things like that. And even the word organic can be quite misleading. Like, say for example, you pick up a package of organic gummy bears, and you might think, okay, well maybe this is a better option because it's organic, and organic's supposed to be good. But if you look at the ingredients list and you see, organic cane sugar or tapioca starch or whatever it says on there, or organic sugar is still sugar. So it's something that you'd want to put down in that situation. When you are looking at like packaged food, you want to just ignore all the labels and marketing that is on there, and you want to just flip it over and look straight at the ingredients list. And you want to make sure that that list is relatively short, the shorter the better, and also that you can pronounce everything on there. If the first few ingredients contain some type of sweetener or refined grain or processed oil, it's going to be a no-go. You want to also be mindful because there's so many different names for sugar out there. Some examples might be like caramel, molasses, brown rice syrup, agave nectar, maltodextrin, honey, maple syrup, turbidino, I don't know if I'm saying it right, sugar, but um, make sure that you are kind of getting familiar with all those different variations for the word sugar so you know when you can spot them. And if you are getting items like non-dairy, like nut and seed milks or yogurts or cereals or granolas or things like that, then you want to go for the varieties that are plain, because typically, let's say for example with yogurt, if you have a plain yogurt versus yogurt that has some fruit added to it, it's going to have like so much more sugar than the plain variety. So what you could do is you could get the plain, you could add in your own sweetener at home, whether that's like a good quality stevia or monk fruit, and then that way you have control of, where the sweetener is and how much is in there. Other words you'll want to take note of on the ingredients list refer to refined grains. So you might see white flour, wheat flour, even enriched wheat flour, which has just had the vitamins and stripped and then added back in. Cornmeal, cornstarch, semolina, which you see on like wheat pasta pretty often, rice. And then processed oils that you want to avoid canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed, and vegetable oil, which really isn't even veggie based, it's corn based. So first thing I do is read the ingredients list. The second thing I do after that is look at the added sugar content. So with added sugar, obviously causes inflammation, weakens your immune system, and increases the risk of other health conditions like heart disease and diabetes. And so the best option would to go for foods that have 0 added sugars. And then sometimes I'll see something with 2 or 3, and that's going to be a better option than a lot of the ones that are high sugar content. And then for me, if it's a splurge, it might be like 5 grams of sugar, but that's like once in a long time, like if I'm having some like simple milk cookies or something like that. So everyone's a little bit different, and if you are used to having a lot more than that, then you don't have to go from say like 35 grams of sugar, which is probably in like a Coke or a Gatorade, down to 0. You can work on just being mindful and taking that number down slowly. Okay. And it's taken me a while to do that for myself, so everyone's a little bit different in that regard. Let's talk about healthy alternatives. So we want to be focusing most of our nutrition from whole foods that are in their natural state. But that doesn't mean that we need to completely cut out the foods that we might like and enjoy. And what you can do is you just can find like a healthy alternative to those foods. So say for example you really enjoy tortillas. You like white flour tortillas or corn tortillas. A healthy alternative might be an almond flour tortilla or a cassava tortilla. They have so many brands now that are making it easier to access those types of products. Some brands that we really like for grain-free tortillas and tortilla chips would be Siete or Unbun or Mikey's. I'm also like a huge chocolate fan, and I wouldn't necessarily want to cut chocolate out completely, so I go for a sugar-free variety like Lily's dark chocolate, which is stevia sweetened. And even though these foods are like a better option, I also wouldn't recommend overindulging in them either. So occasionally is okay, but it's not something that you necessarily want to have every day either. I'll do another Facebook Live on some other healthy alternatives, maybe for crackers and condiments and sauces, things that we recommend to clients here. And if there are other topics that you'd like to see discussed, then you're welcome to leave those in the comments as well so that we can take a look and get you the information that you'd like. Okay, so what I want to do next is talk about healthy grocery shopping on a budget. So I'll be real with you, it does cost more to buy organic produce and get some of these healthier alternatives, but it also doesn't mean that you have to break the bank either. You can get really savvy with how you do your grocery shopping, and I'm honestly really a frugal person as well, so it's definitely something that I'm mindful of. So the first thing is more or less obvious. So it's looking for what's on sale. And so when you're looking for a particular item, compare all the prices. Sometimes with health food stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods, like their brand of items is actually really good. Again, you'll just want to make sure by checking the ingredients list, and it's usually a lot cheaper. Especially with produce, look for what's in season. That's usually going to be less costly. And then what I talked about earlier, you making your list and going to the grocery store and sticking to your list, here's where you can be a little bit flexible. So say, for example, you were going to purchase like asparagus to eat with like your omelets and as a side to a lot of your meals, but but the zucchini is on sale, then maybe you opt to get the zucchini and use it the same way you were going to use the asparagus. That's a way that you can save money. Or another example is, like, say there's a sale on organic chicken, you could just buy a bunch of it, and then whatever you're not going to use right away, you can just portion it out and put it in the freezer. And that's a way you can be mindful of your spending too. If budget is a concern, there's 2 lists that the Environmental Working Group put out every year. So one is called the Dirty Dozen, and these are the fruits and vegetables with the most pesticides. So some examples of foods on that list are strawberry, spinach, potatoes, and tomatoes. You want to make sure you go organic with those foods on the Dirty Dozen, since they do contain the most pesticides. But on the contrary to that, the EWG also puts out a list that's called the Clean 15, and these are the fruits and veggies with the least amount of pesticides. So examples are avocado, onion, asparagus, kiwi. And so if you're going to go conventional and try to save some money, those would be the ones to do it with. So get familiar with those lists, because they could be really helpful with budgeting for the grocery store. This one I just learned recently that I found was interesting, but to save money at the grocery store, don't buy like eye level. And that's because brands will actually pay to have their products put at a certain place on the shelf, and those costs that they pay to have their food placed where it is actually gets passed along to consumers in the pricing of their products. So be sure to look high and low and to compare prices and go with the best option for you. Again, you can look at those store brand items to see if that would work well. And then another tip for healthy grocery shopping on a budget is that you can buy in bulk, and you'll usually find a cheaper ounce rate, or excuse me, get a cheaper per ounce rate. And so those would apply well for things like nuts and seeds, spices. And then if anyone is a Costco member or a Sam's Club, I'm not as familiar with Sam's Club than I am with Costco, but you can get some really great quality organic foods there. So for example, like if you go to the produce section, you could get like a lot of greens or zucchini. And again, whatever you don't use, you can freeze. And actually, frozen vegetables work really well in smoothies because once you freeze it, the taste isn't as strong. You can also get some like wild caught seafood or chicken in bulk, and then whatever you don't use right away, you can store in the freezer. I've also seen some like really good health foods at Costco recently. For example, I've seen palmini, hearts of palm noodles there. I see wild brine sauerkraut. Um, I see Simple Mills crackers as well. So not everything at Costco is super healthy, but there are some definitely some finds that you can uh, dig through and find, and it does change from time to time too, so you kind of have to be on it. Like one time I was at Costco and I saw like organic turkey breast, and it was like a package of 3, and it was really inexpensive. It was like $15, and the ingredients were just like turkey and salt. But then that's like the only time I saw it there. Same thing, I saw like pickled beets there, and then they were gone the next time. So if you see it, then I encourage you to kind of seize the moment, if it's something that you know you'll use. And then lastly, you can also they'll have, like, when it comes to snacks, they'll have the individually packaged snacks that you can buy. And so what you can do to save money is also buy those in bulk. So say it's like individual packages of almonds or something like that. Get the big bag of almonds at Costco, or like scoop it out of the bulk bin at Sprouts, and then when you get home, you can individually portion out the almonds or whatever snack it is that you are doing, and it's going to save you time in the future by doing it there. It's going to help you from overeating those snacks, and then it's most likely going to be cheaper than buying those individual packaged snacks. So we kind of ran through those tips. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to write those in the comments. I want to do another Facebook Live on meal prepping, because I know that's a challenge that comes up with clients, and making sure that they that they do the meal prep, that they have their foods ready for the week, so you can look out for that. Next week we are going to be talking about how to curb sugar, and I think I probably talk about sugar in every Facebook Live for the most part, but we'll really be focusing on what you can do to curb your sugar intake and overcome your cravings. And our December special here at Natural Healing Center is still going on. It's our biggest promotion in years. And so if you are feeling inclined and ready to take control of your health again, December is a great time. Typically, initial consultations with me are $2.99, and then for this month only, so till December 31st, we're offering a 100% off that, so the price is only $1.99. For an initial consultation, I spend a significant amount of time with you, because we'll do the testing over a period of 1 day, and I'll be working with you for about 1 to 2 hours, depending if it's virtual or in person, and then you'll be invited to come back and go over the results of those tests. So testing includes any areas of the body that might be stressed. So we'll look at the organs of the hormonal system as well as the digestive system. We'll take a look at potential causes of that stress. So that could be metal toxicity, chemical toxicity, food sensitivities. You'll get a list of what foods you'll want to start to reduce or avoid. And then what's also great about nutrition response testing and the work we do here is we'll be able to test to see what would help to strengthen and rebalance your body, so that we improve your overall health, and usually as a side benefit we see a lot of symptoms subside. If you have any questions about that, you can call or reach out to us directly, or leave a note in the comments so we can get back to you. If you are a client of ours already, then there is a special promotion for you going on as well, and I'm going to have you reach out to us for more details about that, but it's a really big one. All right, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time this evening, and I will see you back here next Thursday. I hope you enjoy your grocery shopping for the week, and really the first step is planning and then committing the time to go do it. That's really what it comes down to. All right, I will see you soon. Take care.